pleased we bought these big matches. We've had them for like 20 years in the garage sale. Hello and welcome to our channel. I'm Louise and this is Kelly, and this here is Iceberg. We are doing everything we can to travel around the world.
All three of us together. There's three of us in this relationship.
We started in New Zealand, we were there for 12 months and here we are over in Australia.
And in order to do so, we need these, and Iceberg needs this.
That's her passport.
Carnet de Passage en deux ans. Hopefully, I said that right.
To make everything work, there's actually a process. Oh my goodness gracious me, you're going to all want to know, well, how the heck did we do it?
So, in order to get one of these, you need to have a rego. In order to get a rego, Louis, what do we need?
A COF.
And in order to get a COF, you have to be in your own country. So, to get an exemption from your COF, you have to have one of these.
It was pretty hard going for all the work that Kelly was doing for me to try and get the gist of it all. But you just, one step at a time, you just have to have patience. But you do have to have a lot of patience. But I'm hoping with what you've done, because you've done so much work, I'm hoping that this is just going to make it a lot more easier for those of you who are also doing it for the first time.
We're going to go and sit down and go through all the questions.
Quite like the idea of sitting down because we've got the fire lit over there. That will be nice.
Let's go and sit around the fire pit and we'll get to the Carnet questions.
And let's get these put away safely. We'll just get them dry. There's leaves in there.
Just in case you're wondering, we've put the Carnet away just so we don't accidentally catch it on fire. Alright, there's your sunnies.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we've got a bonza spot here at, what is it? Scrubby Creek. Iceberg's had a wee scrubby too.
It's very peaceful, very tranquil. There's the odd log truck which is going past, but really it's just lovely.
I hope you can see us through the smoke because this was for ambience and a bit of warmth. It's actually, what was it, 4 degrees this morning?
3.
So hopefully you can still see us. Okay everyone, this video is about the Carnet de Passage for New Zealand registered vehicles and why we personally, the three of us, must travel continuously on a Carnet de Passage regardless of what country we go to, because not all countries require it. The first country we were actually wanting to go to, oh my knees are getting very hot.
Are they? Oh, I'll move it around a wee bit while we're talking.
We wanted to go to Canada, America, Canada, somewhere like that, and neither of those countries require a Carnet de Passage. So we hadn't really, looked too much into it, but then we got the quote for the shipping to that destination and it was going to be around $40,000. So we started looking slightly closer to home, being Australia. And Australia requires a Carnet de Passage for entry for temporary vehicle import. So I print off the application form and I'm reading it out to Louis, all the clauses and that. And one of the lines I read out was you are required to have a current registration the entire time that you're on a Carnet. And do you remember what you said? I'll never forget where I was sitting and...
Oh, is that right? Well, it's bloody impossible, probably.
Why?
Well, how are we supposed to do that? Fly her home or something?
Exactly. Well, I hadn't even thought about it. But Louis just hit the nail straight on the head. Well, how are we meant to get a warrant of fitness, a certificate of fitness in our case? I rang the NZTA and they said, oh, no problem, you just come back to New Zealand every 12 months.
How ridiculous is that, coming back to New Zealand every 12 months and paying for your vehicle to go back? For goodness sakes.
So,
seriously?
How ridiculous was it setting a fire trying to film around it?
That's making it worse.
So the next phone call to try and sort this slight issue out was to the AA, the people who issue the Carnet de Passage in New Zealand, the Automobile Association. And the chap is so nice. He basically said, no problem, we just apply for an exemption. It's called an OVL, Overseas Vehicle Licence. So me being me gets on the phone to cross-check the information from the AA. So I rang the NZTA because it's issued by the NZTA, this exemption. Not a clue, doesn't exist, never heard of it. don't know what you're talking about. Do we believe what the man at the AA was telling us and just go? Because they don't give you the exemption until you've left the country, so we'd have no way of knowing whether this mystery OVL thing even worked or not.
But we are factual people. We like facts. We don't like to be told something and then find further down the track that it's not going to work. Saw that. What is it?
Ash. So you probably got... Oh, this is the worst idea ever.
I don't care if I have ash all over me. In fact, I'm thinking of changing my eyeshadow to that black soot on the outside there. Natural.
Well, you've had your other one since you're 18 and you've still got it now and it's just crumbling away. So Lou's thinking, I could use some charcoal.
61 very soon, everybody. 61.
So I won't bore you with it, but put yourself in our shoes. He wouldn't give us anything in writing. He wouldn't show us any threads, email threads from the NZTA. He kept telling me, oh no, I've spoken to them. They've confirmed that they'll do this exemption to the same company that I've been ringing constantly and nobody knows what we're talking about. And he wouldn't give me anything in writing or any email threads. So that's why we were a bit like, oh, are we going to trust this man or what?
We were even going as far as thinking, gosh, can we find somebody in New Zealand who would be able to, who we could fly over to where
right.
we were to actually do the COF.
The most asked questions. Okay, Louis, what is a carnet and who issues it in New Zealand?
Well, a carnet is a passport and it's a passport for icy, but not in every single country.
Okay, let me give you an example. If you're a New Zealander and you race New Zealand motor cars and you want to take your motor car to America for a rally, you don't need a Carnet de Passage. Different countries have different rules. In this example, America, temporary import, you take your vehicle in, you do your rally or you do your trip if you're going on a holiday, and you bring your vehicle home. Our problem is that we're not coming home. We are going to continue as long as we can around the world. Obviously, if we are not well or we can't afford to do this anymore, we have to bring Iceberg home. That's part of the rules.
That's hard work though. Like seriously to do that. Like say for example, in 5 years' time, wherever we will be in the world, one of us isn't too well to fly home and fly her home. But look, that's the rules and that's how it is and that's
Ship her home.
Yeah, for a couple of months, I suppose. But those are the rules and that's what they are. And
there's all sorts of rules. You're not allowed to dispose, sell, do anything. Basically, the passport is you saying that you will remove the vehicle from the country at the end of the time. Now, that brings me to time frames. So a carnet is issued for 12 months from the date that the carnet is issued. So this gets you've got to play a bit of a chess game because in order to book the shipping, they required the carnet to be available 10 days before the ship left, and then you had to have a minimum of 10 days to order the carnet. So we were kind of balancing it and making sure this person was ready and are you ready here and are you ready there, and because if the ship gets delayed then you're using up all your time. So I remember emailing the shipping company, right, is everything looking good? Even though they can't confirm everything that far out. Yep, we're good, all right. So, say to the AA man, right, go. And so he issues the carnet, and that's the date that it starts from. It goes to the shipping company, they have to get it to clear customs, then Iceberg's on a ship for 2 months. So you can see how the 12 months is quickly whittling away. So actually when we first got to Australia, we had our carnet stamped. The customs stamp it in. I'm just going to get it because it has different dates on it just quickly. We were stamped in on the 15th of May. Well, that's complete rubbish because we didn't leave New Zealand until we left New Zealand on the 9th of May. Yep. Iceberg started shipping. And the customs officer in Australia has written 15th of May and then stamped it 23rd of June. So, you know me, on the phone straight away. I thought we got 12 months from the date it got stamped. And so we're thinking, oh, great, it doesn't matter how long Iceberg takes to get there because we got 12 months from when we get there.
We did.
And the customs guy, he was like, no, it's from the date that your passport was issued, which goes back like another month or so before that. So that leaves us a lot less time to get around Australia. So what you can do is you can apply for an extension. So firstly, I'll just go over the costs of the passport, and then we'll do the costs of the extension. To get this passport for Iceberg was 995 New Zealand dollars plus a $5,000 bond. They say we will get back when we get back to New Zealand. If we go over the time frame and we want an extension, that's $395, and you apply for that as late as possible, obviously, because you don't want to use up your time because it goes from when it gets issued. But you don't know if you're going to get it until you take your extension paperwork to the border police, the border force here in Australia, and they agree that you're allowed the extension. So we'll be travelling around, leaving this to the last minute, not knowing whether we're going to be allowed an extension or not.
It's a bit of a worry, but we chose this life, like I've said many a times before. It's a journey, it's an experience, it's a pathway we're on, and we just ride it.
So you're only allowed one extension. So you buy the passport, so basically $5,995 is handed over, you get one of these. Then comes time for the extension. Hopefully you get the extension, you pay $395 for that. That's it, no more extensions. So we're going to be wherever, and we need a new one of these. So we have to buy another one, another $5,995, okay? But he has told us that as soon as you have to go, get this one stamped out, get the other one stamped in when you change over, then you send it back to New Zealand. He's assured us we would get the first $5,000 bond back. However, at that given point of time, we'd be $10,000 out of pocket. Well, he was right on the first thing, so hopefully he's right on the
Well, we've
second
met
thing.
him.
Yes, we have, because we had to meet him to sign this off.
Yeah.
A bit clandestine in the Pack and Save car park.
He was very, very nice. He did everything he could to make it work for us for meeting him, and that meant a lot. So for me, sort of just gauging a little bit of trust and personality and everything, I've got the trust there with him.
I have too. Of course, as soon as we got this, I said, oh great, can we please apply for the exemption now for the warrant for the COF? And he said, oh no, sorry, you've got to leave the country first. So that was extremely nerve-wracking for us, waiting. But as soon as I see was on the ship, I'm like, great, can we apply for the OVL now? And he said, yep, no problem. And I'm not even lying. About 5 minutes later, he comes back, oh yep, that's all done now. So we'd been worrying for like months.
Have been. I mean, this is his job. He knows what he's doing. It's what he does all the time. But
Yes.
first timers.
But he always says nothing's guaranteed, and you don't get anything in writing, and this and that, and then next minute it's all sorted. All right, next question. Not a question, but we are personally liable for the information in this booklet. We must ensure that it gets stamped in and out every country, otherwise you can be liable for duty,
So
taxes.
the other person, if they forget, well, that's too bad. We
Yes.
have to remember.
So don't leave the border crossing and put this away and drive off. Check it before you leave. Just to clarify, when you travel on a Carnet de Passage, we always will keep our New Zealand registered plates. You must at all times follow New Zealand rules when you're on a New Zealand passport. I assume it's the same for the other countries. So there's no need to deregister. We keep our same plates forever. They'll be with us the whole time.
Super excited about that.
I know.
Keeping our plates.
I know. And it's like a point of communication or interest, isn't it? When we're driving around, people will look at them and start talking. Because there's no deregistration or re-registration, there's no import taxes to pay. So basically, we've paid the bond, we've paid the deposit, we don't have to pay into any country. We've already done that bit. So no import fees, no taxes, no anything like that. We no longer have to get a certificate of inspection, or what you might know as a warrant of fitness or a certificate of fitness, which in my mind doesn't seem right. Like, we're let loose for the next 10, 20 years around the world, and we're not required once to get the vehicle
Well,
inspected for roadworthiness or
You're
safety.
not. But we kind of would want to it's just like us having a checkup, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
every so often we want to make sure that Icy is all right, because if she needs anything replacing, updating, fixing, sealing, screwing down oils or tyres or whatever it is, well, we want to know for our own safety.
So what do you think? We should just try and
Pretend our own COF of maybe when she gets a service of saying, would you mind just
checking over the tyres?
Yeah.
Because they check like the tread, they check the brakes, they check
seatbelts,
everything. Yeah, that's a good idea.
The seatbelts are a very important one.
So what paperwork do you need to get the carnet? So basically you have to send in your passport, the registration.
But not physically your passport.
No, just copies.
Yeah,
And
it's good to clarify.
You've got to send the money, and you also have to send a valuation, which was fine. We already had a valuation for Iceberg for New Zealand insurance. So I am going to just slightly pivot just quickly to insurance, because a lot of people have been asking about insurance in Australia, and I just wanted to run through a couple of things. It was so bad that I actually said to Louis, do you know what? I think we're just going to go with no insurance, because it was so hard to get that it wasn't even funny. And if I'm saying that, you know it's almost done my head in. Anyway, long story short, we went with KT Insurance. You've already seen that we had to get tracker put in, hardwired tracker. But what they sprung on us at the last minute was, oh, yep, no problem, that's all gone through. Oh, by the way, we need a valuation. And I was like, Bonza, I'm already onto that one. So I sent, stop looking at the birds, pay attention.
No, but there's 3 of them coming over, and
I know, they're so cute.
They look like those little bumblebee helicopters. You know, those little wee ones with the wee tails.
There's 2 brown ones and one of those bright cobalt blue ones.
Here it comes. That's so cute. Oh. You are all so cute. We've never had them so close.
So I sent it to them, our valuation that we had for New Zealand, and bugger me, it had to be in Australian dollars. So we had to pay another $400 to get a valuation, our valuation, rewritten in Australian dollars. And I was like, it takes a lot for me to lose the plot, but this one took me all the way to the fair, and I just ranted and emailed at the same time saying, you've got to be joking. This is absolutely ridiculous. Can't you just get a currency converter and change it yourselves? And bugger me, it worked. Normally, when you do rants like that, they normally just say, well, sorry, that's the rules. But on this occasion...
She doesn't do any ranting or anything. I said, gosh, come on, let's hype it up. Get me on the blimmet. Give me that phone.
She does do that. Well, sometimes I'm like, can you ring? Anyway, they did it without the cost of the valuation. Joined the CMCA and we got 5% off the KT insurance. The insurance that was even harder to get, and we've only just got it like a few days ago, was the compulsory third-party insurance. So when you travel on a Carnet de Passage, on the Australian website it explicitly says that you must have compulsory third-party insurance on your vehicle. However, this is different between all states, and I won't bore you to tears with it, but because we came into New South Wales, we shipped into Port Kembla, that is the one state that didn't require it. So when we cross the border to all the other states, we do need it. But you should try ringing the insurance company of the port that you entered into, because that's the port that you have to ring, and try and get compulsory third-party insurance from someone who doesn't issue it. It was an absolute nightmare.
And I'm going to just pause you there for a second, and what Kelly's going to tell you of what she did and how she did it and everything, I think it deserves a Whittaker's 72% cake of chocolate.
Or just a like, that'd be fine.
No, and a love heart. Yeah, got my hands full.
Okay, so here comes a love heart. Shout out. I actually just went on a forum, like a Facebook group page, and said, can anyone please help me? And I got, obviously when you do that, you get like 100 different people telling you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing. But 2 people really stood out to me. Bruce, you're amazing. He just shipped into Queensland. And Michael, they have just shipped into Victoria. So they had both got the insurance, no problems, because they're the ports that they arrived into. But Michael, he literally banged his head against a counter for 4 hours at an actual Vic Roads trying to get this insurance, and nobody there knew what to do. he finally got it sorted. So he took a photo of the lady who helped him and he sent us the photo and said, go to this Vic Roads and talk to this lady, which was absolutely fantastic. And we were on our way there. We are currently in New South Wales. We're about to cross the border into Victoria. However, we didn't want to drive anywhere across the border without the insurance. So to get to this actual Vic Roads, to get the insurance was about 4 hours, I think. And we didn't want to risk having no insurance during that time. So I did get on the phone again and explain the situation, and bugger me, it worked. It was about half an hour of my life I'll never get back.
Half an hour's not too bad when you
Compared
think
to
of all
the months that I've been going around.
Yeah.
So to save you all an arse ache, you have to ring. I've been trying to do everything by email from New Zealand.
It's the New Zealand
Yeah.
way. We do emails rather than getting them sitting on a phone.
Nobody here will do anything unless you ring them. So just get on the blower and give them a call. All right, so just to wrap it up, this carnet, we were told that it must travel with the vehicle at all times. So when we first got it issued, it did have to be flown. The original had to be flown to the shipping agent. The shipping agent uses it to clear customs. And then we said, right, you've got to get it back to us before I think it was the 8th, we were dropping Iceberg off at the depot. Anyway, the days got closer and closer and closer, and we were emailing them every day. Oh, she's not here. Oh, she's sick. Oh, she didn't have the appointment today. There was like all these excuses. Anyway, it got to the point where they were unable to get it back to us to put in the vehicle for shipping, and the deadline was missed. But they said, oh, no, don't worry about it, because you take it with you to Australia. You carry it with you. And then when you take it to the port, you show them and they stamp it. They couried it to us in Christchurch because that's where we stayed while Icy was on the ship. As she arrived into Australia, we get an email from the Australian customs agent. Why have I not got the carnet? And we're like, well, because we were told to bring it with us, we'll take it to the port. And they were like, no, it clears customs first before it even arrives in, and they do all the quarantine and that. So I contacted the shipping agent and said, okay, you were meant to send it to Australia, which was the correct procedure. Can you help me sort it now? And they basically just dropped us like hot potatoes, didn't they? They didn't want to know a bar of us. We raced it down to the DHL, put it in one of those emergency safety document packets, got it to the correct
Not easy when
person.
you don't have a car either, by the way.
Yeah, always double check, because when this first happened, I said to the lady, look, no problem, I will sort it, just tell me where do I have to post it to, and I will literally drive to the DHL right now and do it. And she's like, oh, you send it to so-and-so in Adelaide. And I'm like, Adelaide? Why would I send the paperwork to Adelaide when we're going into Sydney? I rang the lady and she said, oh, yes, we do all the imports and that. And she said, oh, you're going into Port Kembla? She said, oh, don't do anything just yet. And then next minute I get this email saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, not to Adelaide. Send it to this person in Sydney. Double check whatever anyone tells you.
Check the dates, check the stamp,
Check the dates.
paperwork.
Check the paperwork. Check where you're meant to be sending it. So the correct procedure for a Carnet de Passage is it goes to the first custom agent of the leaving country. They then send it to the importing country customs agent, and then you collect it. You don't hold on to it, and under no circumstances does it stay on the vehicle during the shipping. That would have been even worse, because the vehicle has to clear the customs before it even gets off the ship. So I don't even know what would have happened then, but thank goodness they missed the deadline. It all worked out perfect. Thank goodness they missed the deadline, because otherwise this would have been in Iceberg and I have no idea what we would have done. So it worked out good in the end.
So on another note, we want to thank you very much for taking the time to stop and listen to this video. We hope that those of you where this is really, really important, that you've learnt something from it. I'm guessing you've probably learnt 2 or 3 things from this. Those of you who aren't doing any of this and don't need to worry about insurance or a carnet or anything, thank you also for watching, because you're generally watching all of our episodes, and don't forget how important you are to us. Ask any questions.
Yep. Thank you so much for watching. We love you all. And
We certainly do.
we've got to get driving now, because Icy needs a little bit more power than she's currently got.
Salmon, feta and capers, obviously pepper and salt and lemon juice on some really nice bread, could be toasted. That's lunch. That's what we're doing.
Let's go. Bye.
See you soon.